Welcome back to another episode of Riding in Cars with Books. I'm Jaclyn.
And I'm Phillip.
And today we're going to be talking about Visitations. Oh my gosh, the sun.
Wow. We'll give you a better look in a minute. Man, the sun is bright.
Woo!
There you go.
Visitations by Corey Egbert. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And I'm going to read from the back of the book the synopsis.
What is the book about?
So, Corey's mom, this is mostly nonfiction, by the way, has always made him feel safe, especially after his parents' divorce and the dreaded visitations with his dad began. But as Corey grows older, he can't ignore his mother's increasingly wild accusations, her insistence that Corey act as his sister's protector, and her declaration that Corey's father is the devil.
That's a thing.
Soon, she whisked Corey and his sister away from their home into the boiling Nevada desert. There they struggle to survive with little food and police on their trail. Meanwhile, under the night sky, Corey is visited by a flickering ghost. You can see it on the cover. Maybe.
Ooh.
A girl who urges him to fight for a different world, one outside of his mother's spoon-fed tales. One Corey must find before it's too late. So,
We'll be out of the sun soon.
when I got this book, first of all, I didn't know it was going to be true.
It's based on a true story. I think the only things in here that he basically said that he messed around with was some of the ages.
And his future wife.
Yeah, but she was in it.
Yeah, they just met at a
They
different
met
time
at
in
a
his
different time, yeah.
life. So it's mostly true. I believe that the apparition he saw was probably real because he was a little, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
You're
Let's
getting
back
ahead
up.
of yourself here.
I was just saying it was true. That's all I was saying.
I already said
I know that, but I was saying why, like what was changed. That's all I did.
That's in the author's note if you care to read it.
I did read it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
There's real pictures in the back and everything. So anyways, the book is kind of told in 3 parts where we get him growing up with his parents and him visiting his father, and then them on the run from the father, and then the apparition part.
Spoiler alert, they're not running from the father in the sense that he's after them. She kidnaps her kids.
Yes, she kidnaps her own children. So they, after the divorce, they have visitation, and it's supervised visitation because his sister said that she didn't like when daddy tickled her. So the mom thought that immediately, sexual abuse. So
Well, there's a reason for that.
there's a reason for that. And the reason being is her uncle?
No, it was her father.
Father? Okay.
Her father basically got,
The mother.
the mother's father got
Sexually
arrested
abused
for
her.
sexually abusing other children.
Yes. So
And so then she basically
projected
that on anyone that was around her.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be her father's fault. All men are like that is basically
Oh, yeah.
where it went.
So of course.
Oh, yeah, the mother part in this.
Woo, doggy.
Not-
So, hey, the sun is gone. Visitations. So, yes, the mother has, I don't want to say issues,
No,
but
so the mother is bipolar and schizophrenic. I'm going to flat out say it.
news flash.
From someone whose mother was bipolar and schizophrenic, boy, did that hit home.
That is why, as soon as I
hard.
finished this, I said, Phillip, you need to read this.
It was like, man, come on.
So, we don't know that till the end, obviously. But there's.
Oh, we knew something.
We knew she wasn't right.
We knew
Because
something.
she's literally envisioning. Okay, so
Because I'm sitting there going, this woman's crazy.
I don't like saying that.
I may not
word.
I grew up, and my mom was exactly that way, and I'm like, I know where this is going.
Without the religious part.
There's a lot of religious
So
aspects in it, but
yes.
that's fed from her schizophrenia and bipolar.
Yeah, it made it worse.
Yeah, it made it worse.
Corey is like praying to God, and the God that he sees when he prays is basically his mom with a mask and projecting like, oh, you need to protect your sister and your dad is evil. Like, all of that is projected in his prayer too. So he thinks he's doing right by his mother and his
Well,
sister.
And once again, it's from a young person's perspective. At that age, you don't really think that someone that like would be your parent would manipulate you that way. And
Yeah.
newsflash, it happens
And then
a lot.
his younger sister, when they get on the road, they are literally living out of their car and surviving on beans. Like, it's nothing. And they're losing weight and
Sleeping in parking lots.
Yeah,
Running
like,
from the police,
they're
basically.
literally running from the police. And it is not a good time. And the sister's like, why are we doing this? And the mom kept having visions like, oh, we'll be done soon and all of this. And finally, Corey had enough and was like, when the cop showed up, he's like, no, Mom, we're not running this time. And the mom gets help. They go stay with their aunt. Spoiler, like, I'm just telling you the whole story.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's kind of hard not to with this book.
Yeah.
Like, the overall premise to me of this book, like it hit hard for me. We're not going to lie. Not the religious aspect of it. That will come into play with a lot of other people. But it's the mother with the schizophrenia and bipolar, because my mother was also that way. And it's really about a kid coming to grips with, here's somebody who has always taken care of him, and then doing this, and how do you break that cycle to start listening to what you think is right and wrong versus someone manipulating you?
Yeah.
Like, basically which was going on in here, because, hey, spoiler alert, that's what happens.
Yeah, like growing up when he was a boy before his sister was born, his mom was his only friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So
because he was sheltered. There was an aspect of this where he was sheltered and he was kept away from things and all that, but she did that to him, right? Like, she kept him away from stuff, and then when anything would happen, she would be like, well, who's the one that's always taking care of you? Like, it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This could probably get me very irritated.
I liked when he said that he wasn't sure what part of his childhood was actually real, because so much of it was projected.
Correct.
From his mom, like, and what she wanted him to believe, like what actually happened.
Right.
And what actually happened with the father and the sister, and why the mom didn't want him around.
I also like that part, because he's telling the story from his perspective,
mm-hmm.
and is to the best of his knowledge. But you're right, like, he was so manipulated when he was young that he doesn't really know. Like, she ruined relationships, right? Like, two of his favorite people was his grandfather and mother on his dad's side. And she basically, the mother,
severed that relationship,
and it crushed him and
the
grandparents,
yeah.
like, big time, because they were really close. And she was like, they're evil like your father is, and it crushed all of them. And when he would try to have conversations with her, she would be like, no, you just need to trust me. I'm doing what's best for you. But
seeing those relationships fizzle was really hard. Thankfully, in the author's note, he made amends with his grandfather, but it was too late for the grandmother. Right. And that probably made me the most sad out of everything. I mean, it was very sad, the whole book. But also, I loved how visitations meant more than one thing.
Right.
Because he had visitations with his father, the supervised visits, and then he had the visitations from the apparition.
Right.
And then in the end, he kind of had visitations with his mom.
Right. And father.
Yeah.
Because they got put into a different situation.
They were staying with their aunt on their mom's side,
right.
who also had the mental health issues. That it was just.
But she
dealt with it. She
knew, right. She dealt with it, right. It was the same issues that she had, but she knew what was going on, and she could deal with it, and she could see it.
Yeah.
Like, so it was a different situation.
And I liked how the apparition was portrayed, and she kept changing forms and stuff.
Right.
And that part of the story I don't want to spoil, but it was
like, there's a lot that goes on that we haven't actually talked about. But
I feel most of everything we've said is on the back of the book,
right.
So it's not too spoilery. But like, experiencing the dreamlike state that he was in was such like an awakening, and it was really beautiful. So I love that part. And the whole book is in like blue and orange tones.
Right.
And then when
It's very well done.
yeah.
Like the art is handled very well. How
Yeah,
the
everything's
people
like
are.
oh sorry, the sun is back.
Sun's back.
Everything is in like blue and orange tones, and then when you get to the visitation part, it's all the blue.
But if you've ever been manipulated by family or told a certain way or dealt with mental illness with your family and mother, it's going to hit home pretty hard.
And I would almost say religious trauma, even though
yes, no, 100%. Like if you have a sheltered part of your life that has dealt with religious trauma or just being sheltered by your parents,
sheltered by your religion, honestly.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I know what's best, so you don't need to know what's going on in the outside world. Well, they don't want you to know what's going on in the outside world because then they can't manipulate you.
Yeah.
And
the mom was manipulating him because of her religion, yes. But he didn't leave his faith because of what happened with his mom. So it's different than other religious trauma stories that I've read in that sense. Right. Like he still believed. He didn't leave his faith, I don't believe.
It didn't really go into that a whole lot.
No,
like he left the area. He lives in Virginia now.
Yeah, he lives in Virginia. But I mean, in the author's note, I believe he still has like his faith. But
I mean,
still,
I'm sure it's going to be different.
Oh yeah, he started realizing like the manipulation for sure.
But yeah, it's one of our longer videos, but it's a lot. Like I think it hits. Like for me, it hits home more.
I think it was definitely borderline top favorite of the year. I just felt bad for picking it since it was like the last book I read of the year.
And I was the same way. It was the last graphic novel I read in 2024, so I didn't feel like picking it. But at the same time,
it was very impactful.
It was right. It was very impactful for me, mainly dealing with the mother with the schizophrenia and bipolar, and then the manipulation of family. Right? Because like even at the end, right? Like he's having issues with his father because he doesn't really, like he knows that he never sexually abused his sister or he was nothing like that, but like he doesn't know how much of that early childhood memories, which wasn't when his parents were together.
Yeah.
This was early on when his parents was together. His memories were not very good of his father because his father was always really strict with him and hard on him and all that. And that's part of the stuff. He's like, well, I don't really know if that was true.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's like at this point, because it was
he believes it to be true.
He believes it to be true, but it was all from his mother's point of view, right? Yeah. And so like he has a different relationship now with his father, of course, and his grandfather. But like some of that early stuff, you just can't get over it because you don't know really what's true or not. But
and then experiencing all that with your sister,
right? When
you're supposed to be protecting her, but you couldn't protect her from the person that was actually causing her harm.
Right. Exactly.
Like that was a lot.
Yeah.
This book is a lot, but very, very worth it.
Yeah, everything is portrayed very well. There's nothing in it that I saw from what I went through as in childhood.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of the same things that he saw in here. My religious trauma was a little different than his, mainly because a lot of his was based on what his mother did, not necessarily the church itself.
Yes.
Where mine was from the church.
But the mom was brainwashed by the church.
The church,
kind
right.
of, so.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand for sure.
It does.
But any other thoughts?
Nope.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, it's highly recommended. It's really good.
So Visitations by Corey Egbert. It is published by Farrar, Straus, Giroux, which is an imprint of Macmillian, I believe. And I would say it's suitable for young adult.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we have the tangent. We have this conversation a lot of times about what's good for like young adult or all ages. I hate to break the news to you. Like all age children go through this.
Yes, exactly.
Like everyone goes through this. It just depends on
their reading level.
Right. It's like everyone like I went through this at a much younger age than he went through this. And so as long as the comprehension is there for that, then everyone should read this book, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't given stars to a book in a long time, but this would definitely be a 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, everything is handled well.
I'm trying to remember how old he was in the
So
story,
I think,
but I know he younged himself down.
right. So in the story, he made himself like 15, but I think he was like a junior or senior in college. So he was either like 17 or 18.
He was in college and his mom kidnapped him?
No, sorry, high school.
Oh.
Sorry, I said it wrong. So he was in high school.
Yeah, he was definitely like 15 in the story.
He was 15 in the story,
because
but I
he
think
had
he
his
was
learner's
right.
permit.
He did, and so, but
'Cause he was
his
driving
real
for a
age
while.
was 17 or 18 at the time, because he talked about
His sister was definitely a lot younger than she actually was.
right. So he talked about that.
But the story still just is, yeah, I understand why he did that. But again, acceptable for young readers for sure.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
that is it. Check it out. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Tell all your friends, subscribe.
All right, bye.
Bye.